Hello, listeners. This is Kat, and welcome back to Put Your Hands Up Podfic. This will be the continuation of Little Acts of Kindness. This will be Part 4, Chapter 4, entitled Aldarin Junior High. Shota entered the school, seeing how empty it was. A woman with a mutant-type quirk that gave her whiskers was walking him to the teacher's lounge, where the teachers he wanted to meet with were waiting. The teachers who taught Bakugo and Midoriya. He had called yesterday, asking them to meet. He gave them no reason. Hadn't needed to, as they didn't ask once learning he was a teacher at UA. "This is the room," the woman said in a high-pitched, cutesy voice. He gave her a nod and entered. He looked around at the teachers, who were sitting around. The principal stood up, coming over to shake his hand. "Ah, hello, you must be the one who called us yesterday." "Yes," he stated, nodding once, reluctantly shaking the other hand, as was polite. "I will get straight to the point. I am the homeroom teacher of the two students who came from the school and wanted to speak teacher to teacher about some of the issues I've witnessed. I believe that by getting to know how such issues were dealt with by previous teachers will help me to choose how to take care of the particular matter," he stated, looking between all of them. The teachers grimaced. "Midoriya is quite a problematic child. It's why we were so surprised when he managed to get into UA. We thought for sure with all the marks on his record they wouldn't let him in." "The only records UA looks at is public records. So long as no marks show up there, we give each student an equal chance." Right. Well, as I'm sure you've figured out by now, Midoriya's a troublesome student, always seeking attention, crying when he doesn't get it, lying about bullying, claiming that other students hurt him because of his quirklessness. Shota keeps his expression flat the entire time, not giving any indication as to what he was thinking. Another teacher spoke up. "The boy is always distracting his classmates with his mumbling and stalking the students while writing that notebook, which he won't let anyone see. It's a shame that his attitude is so poor. He would have been a good student otherwise with his good grades," one of the female teachers mutters, pity in her eyes. One of the younger-looking teachers, who hadn't spoken up yet, scoffed. "I can't believe you let that kid bribe you. His grades are horrible in my class, as he deserves." So that man must be the English teacher, and now Shota could see it wasn't just the English profession his husband shared with the man. They both had blonde hair, and while Hisashi's eyes were green, this man had yellow eyes. Still, besides for the blonde hair and somewhat similar builds, they looked fairly different. "Bribery?" Shota asked them. "It's not bribery, Nashi. Like we would let a few gifts sway us to grading in his favor. He gets the grades he earns in my class." The other female teacher responded to the English teacher. They continued on with various statements on Midoriya's behavior, all of them so wrong and off the mark it was almost funny. None of it was particularly new information, at least not what they were saying. The most telling were their reactions, how they acted when they spoke of him. The two most interesting were the second woman and the English teacher. The woman looked guilty and ashamed, almost reluctant to speak ill of the kid, possibly being forced then to agree with the rest of the teachers. Also, someone to talk to alone to get the truth of the situation. The English teacher, on the other hand, his eyes held a glee. The teacher didn't feel repentant at all, and he had this twisted look that Shota had seen a couple of times before, a look he felt sickened by, for he had only seen it on rapists. It didn't help that the way the English teacher, Nashi, spoke Midoriya's name was like it was a possession. "I see. And what of Bakugo?" As expected, they went on how he was an amazing student, helpful to others, the perfect hero. They fell silent, and Shota looked at each of them. "Thank you for your time," he said flatly, getting up and leaving the room. As he thought, talking to the teachers as a whole was mostly a waste, but it got him to two leads. One, the woman, and two, the English teacher that gave off rapist vibes. Shota really hoped he was wrong on that account. He found a building across the street and scaled it, waiting on the roof as the teachers soon came out and headed different ways. He followed the woman for a bit, dropping down behind her on a somewhat empty street. "I would like the truth, not that bullshit they had you spewing." She jumped, turning around to face him with wide eyes, a startled squeak escaping her mouth. You knew?" "I did say that I have both boys in my class." I'll tell you. Can we find a better place to talk?" she asked, looking nervous. "Of course. Lead the way to where you would like to speak." She led them to a small internet cafe. They sat down and she sighed. "That poor boy. I wanted to help him, but..." The principal and other teachers were all okay with the boy suffering. They wanted him to suffer, since they hated that they had a quirkless student tarnishing their school's reputation. The boy only gave gifts, because if he didn't, then all the teachers would misgrade him for the worse. Nashi, his English teacher, wouldn't accept those gifts, though. I overheard him saying he wanted the boy to give him some other gift to get his grades up to where they should be. I don't know what sort of gift he wanted, but Midoriya, I guess, refused to give it to him, or only gave him a part of it or something, as the boy's grades always stayed right at that 1 point away from failing mark. The kids did bully him. One of the worst was Bakugo. That kid would destroy Midoriya's items, homeworks, textbooks, desks, and other school property, and all the teachers blamed Midoriya instead of Bakugo. The woman said, crying, I couldn't help him, not without losing my job. And I have a family to take care of. I wish I could have helped the boy more. Shota gave a nod. You should start looking for a new job, because when I get through, Alderan will be shut down on account of quirk discrimination, among other crimes. Would you be willing to testify? The woman gave a small sob as she nodded. All right. Thank you for your help, but before I go, what can you tell me about that English teacher, Nashi? Nashi Doi. I don't like him at all. He has this way of looking at some of the kids that just feels wrong. He seems friendly, but he's always in students' personal space, especially Midoriya when the kid was at the school. I could see how uncomfortable Midoriya was with it, but the poor boy couldn't do anything without getting in trouble. The woman shook her head, wiping away more tears. That man just gives off these bad vibes. I don't know how the principal or other teachers can stand to be around him, even if they don't have my quirk. Shota raised an eyebrow. She flushed. Sorry, my quirk is called personality. It lets me kind of feel out people's personalities. Nashi seems to be so fake to me that I don't know why the others don't see it either. But the principal won't hear a word of it, saying that Nashi was a great teacher. For him, I get the feeling of arrogance, conceit, and other such traits. For you, I get the feeling of caring and strictness. Shota tilted his head in acknowledgement to what her quirk sensed. I see. Thank you for your time. This helps my investigation a lot. Investigation? Shota let his lip curl up, a mockery of a smile. I am a pro-hero. If I didn't recognize the signs of bullying and abuse going on in my student, then I wouldn't be a very good hero. He stood up and gave the woman a small bow, leaving down his work number. If you think of anything else that might help, please let me know. She nodded and took the number. Shota left and walked toward his and Hisashi's house, knowing that his husband would not be pleased by what he found out, and his suspicions regarding the previous English teacher. He walked down the street, seeing the people go about their daily business. After half an hour, he made it home. Music was playing, a gentle song, something unintrusive. Hisashi was in a thoughtful mood, it seemed. Shota wondered how his talk with All Might had gone. Hisashi's talk with All Might had been a bust. The man hadn't realized anything was going on with Midoriya, had truly bought into the kid's excuse about the gifts being for appreciation, but at least All Might had managed to get the boy to stop, somehow managing it without hurting the kid's feelings. So now he was waiting for his husband to come home from meeting with the teachers. Still, that gave him quite some time to think about the little listener. The poor kid. Hisashi hoped they could help the kid gain some confidence, and possibly get him away from that walking corpse of a woman. The door opened to his office, and Shota collapsed into the other chair, a scowl on his face. Hisashi tapped the controls for the music, pausing it. No, put on something calming, Shota mumbled. Hisashi smirked, but did, lowering the volume a bit so it was more of a background noise. So, I take it that things are bad? Worse. Hisashi froze. Worse? As we expected, the teachers at Alderan High have been letting the bullying happen. The gifts Midoriya gives are so the teachers grade him fairly. He gave a nod. That was what they were expecting. That was the bad. So how could it be worse? Shota raised his hands physically, rubbing at his head. I have reason to believe that one of Midoriya's teachers is a pedophile. Hisashi paled. No, not the little listener. It was the English teacher, Shota stated bluntly. And Hisashi lost all color as he dropped down. No wonder the little listener's so scared of me. Zashi, go to Alderan's website and look at the picture for Nashi Doi. Reluctantly, he did so, knowing that he won't like what he finds. Then he stared at the picture of the man. Blonde hair, yellow snake-like eyes, and a build similar to his own. That is the English teacher. Well, fuck, Hisashi cursed. Shota gave a nod. You're going to have to avoid touching Midoriya at all, till we can build some trust between you two. If my suspicions are correct, then any touch will either send him into a panic attack or have him disassociating. All right, he agreed, feeling helpless. Poor Midoriya. To have possibly suffered through all that, and had no one to talk to, because it was obvious he couldn't talk to that walking corpse of a mother he had. I think I'm going to join you in your patrols tonight. I'm not going to get any sleep, Hizashi muttered, wanting to punch something. Shota gave a nod, getting up and walking over to him before dramatically collapsing onto his lap. Hizashi snorted and shifted them so they would be more comfortable. His husband curled up on him. We'll help the kiddo, he murmured quietly. He's going to need therapy, and I still need to sign him up for quirk counseling. After USJ tomorrow, you can speak to him about the quirk counseling. Hound Dog does both, so for now we can have quirk counseling sessions that double as therapy, Hizashi determined. That's actually a decent plan, Shota teased, smiling at him with that crooked grin of his. Hey, I'll have you know all my plans are great. Shota snorted. Like that one plan of yours to replace Namuri's closet with nothing but granny clothes? Hizashi shuddered. Why must you keep reminding me of that? He whined. Because I love to remind you how much your plans suck, Shota responded dryly. So mean. Shota leaned up and kissed him, rolling his eyes fondly. The two fell silent as Shota opened the laptop and started typing up the new notes on the investigation document. All right, listeners, this concludes Chapter 4 of Little Acts of Kindness. Chapter 5 will be up next. Let me know your all's thoughts and reactions to everything so far, and as always, thank you so much for listening.